Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. This is a Chiefs postgame live report. We're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs' monumental collapse to the Indianapolis Colts on this Sunday in September. So, Josh, we just witnessed, I would argue, one of the worst collapses in the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid era. Again, it happened against the Indianapolis Colts. We saw one of the worst special teams performances that I've seen in recent memory. It might be the absolute worst. And just a litany of calls that the Chiefs made and the plays that were designed and the plays that were called. It really left my head just in not a good place. And I'm just really confused after watching that 3-hour football game. What exactly just happened? I mean, we saw our rent-a-kicker miss two really big kicks. And the play calling on one of the big fourth down plays, instead of kicking a field goal to go up by a touchdown at that point by 7 points, Andy decides to run a fake kick and they roll out with Tommy Townsend and they get stuffed. They don't get that first down. And at that point, for me, that just kind of seemed like the beginning of the end. And I know a lot of people, and specifically people on Chiefs Twitter, are going to blame Chris Jones for that taunting, or I guess it was unsportsmanlike conduct on it was third down. They were able to sack Matt Ryan behind the line of scrimmage, and Chris Jones ended up talking to Matt Ryan after the play. The refs saw that. Chris Jones must have said something very badly, I guess, and they got called for just an unsportsmanlike conduct. It gave the Colts a first down. They went down the field to score, and that ended up being the game. But Josh, after watching that game, I can't help but feel like the special teams unit sold, and that's the reason why we lost. I mean, Sky Munt muffed a punt or muffed a kick, and the Colts scored a touchdown on that very next possession. That's the kind of stuff you cannot have. And just the special teams all day wasn't good. Pat didn't play good at all, and he is a reason why you lost this game. But when you boil it down, the special teams unit was god awful. I mean, it was a shit show, for lack of a better term. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, first of all, Andy Reid can't beat the Colts. I don't know why every time we play the Colts, but this team just doesn't seem to play very well. And I don't know if we're just cursed from that playoff game all the way back in 2015, I want to say, or
It was 13. It was
2013. Yeah. That was a bad one. But anyway, yeah, no, this game sucked. Special teams, like you said, they're probably, if you were to make a list of reasons why the Chiefs lost today, special teams would probably be number one, because it all started with the Sky Moore fumbling the opening kickoff. You just can't have that. And I understand he's a rookie, and the Chiefs have a lot of rookies that they're relying on this year, and you're going to take lumps with them. But I mean, you can't drop that. And then Matt Amendola, that guy is a disaster. He should be cut after today, regardless of Harrison Butker's health. I honestly, and I said it to myself, even last game when he kicked, because I know there was one kick that he missed. But I was like, you know what? I would rather just see Justin Reed kick, honestly. May or may not go well, but it might be better than Matt Amendola. Yeah, that was an ugly game. And like I told you, I was scrambling for about the first 30 minutes of the game trying to find a stream that worked. So I didn't catch some stuff, but I caught most of the stuff, most of the bad stuff. But yeah, special teams is definitely up there. And the fake fourth down, the fake field goal, why didn't you just take the points there? I don't understand. And it wasn't even close to being converted. I just, what does this coaching staff think sometimes?
Well, first of all, why not take the points? And second of all, if you're going to go for it on 4th and 10, do it with the best quarterback on the planet. Why are you having Tommy Townsend roll out and try to hit the long snapper for the first down? That's not a sustainable way of getting first downs. And especially in the moment of the game, 3 points, if you get 3 points there, this game goes to overtime. Maybe the Colts don't even score. It's a completely different ball game if the Chiefs take those points. And I understand that at that point, Matt Amendola missed one of the extra points, so they were kind of iffy on if he was a good option to go with. But you saw that after they went for that fake kick on 4th down, they ended up giving him a chance to kick a field goal on the next one. It was like a 34-yarder, and he shanked it to the left. I think that that play killed his confidence and therefore ending his kicking career. Because I'm telling you this right now, he might not even get off the plane before he gets cut. It's going to be quick. It's going to be instant. And as much as we want to blame Matt Amendola, and he's a pretty big reason why you lost, but it's the special teams unit as a whole. I mean, just some of the dumb plays that they made, the play calling that we keep mentioning on that fourth down, Sky Moore miffing the punt. There was a couple times where they would bring it out with Sky Moore and Pacheco, where I'm like, why aren't you just taking the touchback and getting it at the 25 and starting? Like, I don't understand why you have this urge, especially when your special teams unit has been so bad, to return the kick. Like, that doesn't make any sense in my mind.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to bring up Dave Toub. And like I said to you before we started going live, Dave Toub is going to get a lot of blame after today, which he should, but it's going to become a new popular conversation when I've been saying it for years. Dave Toub is overrated as a coach. He's gotten all this praise for years, and this Chiefs special teams have always frustrated the hell out of me. And you just mentioned how instead of taking touchbacks, they always have these guys bring it out. That's because Dave Toub coaches them to do that. He's always coached them to bring it out of the back of the end zone. He's always given them the freedom to return it if they feel like they have a good chance. And obviously, when you tell an NFL player that, they're going to think they can return every single kick, which obviously isn't the case. And then I don't know what they do on some of these punt returns and kick returns where guys are fair catching it inside the 10-yard line. McCole always used to do that too. And then Sky Moore did it today where he fair caught that one like at the 1-yard line or whatever. It's like, what is going through your head that you fair catch it inside the 10-yard line? Like, just let it bounce. Why does Dave Toub coach them to do that? I don't understand. I've never been impressed with Dave Toub, to be quite honest. And today is an example as of why.
It was really bad. And, the one play that sticks out to me for the kick return, when the Colts scored that touchdown and kicked it off to the Chiefs, Pacheco took it out, got to the 15, and just got demolished. And there was I think it was, what was it? An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after the play, which gave the Chiefs the ball at the 30. So it kind of saved the possession, but Pacheco got 15 yards coming out of the end zone when he caught it at like the 1, when he could have just got a step or two to the left, let that ball go through the back of the end zone. Chiefs have it at the 25. You don't waste 4 seconds trying to take it back to the house, and we would have just had a better shot. And we're kind of talking about the one big thing that happened to end this game. The Chiefs made a really big play downfield, I believe, and then on the very next play, ended up throwing it deep downfield to try to get a little bit closer for Amendola to kick the game-tying field goal. It ended up getting tipped and intercepted, and the game was ultimately over. And for as much as we're bitching and moaning about the special teams unit and how bad it was, and they are still the number one reason why you lost this game, Patrick Mahomes in this offense wasn't good either. And on too many occasions today, I felt like Pat was reliant on Travis Kelce. Like, there was a ton of instances in the red zone where other guys might have not been as open, but he forced stuff to Travis Kelce all game long, and it didn't really work out for the most part. I think that, for having an offense with so many different weapons, Mahomes was really reliant on Travis Kelce today, and I haven't seen the final stat line yet. I'm probably going to check that in a minute, but Travis Kelce didn't really have a great game. I know he caught a touchdown pass, but it just seemed like Patrick Mahomes was so fixed on only getting Travis Kelce the ball when it mattered. And it's not the reason why he lost the game, but I feel like Mahomes was very just fixed in his view, and he should have just been looking around the field today.
Yeah, so the offense was the second biggest reason that they lost today. They never really got anything sustainable going. You said it. They relied on Travis Kelce way too much. And let's just be honest. This is the consequence of trading Tyreek Hill. You knew you weren't going to be as dynamic anymore, and you were going to have to find other guys, or you're going to have to ask other guys to step up. And so far, the guys that the Chiefs have been asking to step up haven't. Juju, I mean, he's been fine. He's been all right. Nothing special. MVS, he's been pretty quiet. Sky Moore can't seem to get on the field quite yet. And look, this is like, I could have told you this before the season started, and I wanted to believe that. And I don't think the Chiefs' offense is going to play as bad as they did today all season long. Like, I think this is just a bad game. It happens early in the season. It's whatever. But I could have told you that after the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, their offense was going to get worse. I don't think it's bad. I think it'll get better. But look, you traded one of the best offensive weapons in NFL history and replaced him with Sky Moore and MVS. And it's not like there's going to be rough patches with that because MVS and Sky Moore aren't Tyreek Hill.
See, I disagree a little bit just because I think that they have the pieces to supplement Tyreek Hill's production. The problem that I see is that the Chiefs had a week and a half to prepare for this game. I think they took the Colts as a joke. I don't think they took the Colts seriously at all. And I think that came back to bite them in the ass because the Colts were 0-2 going into this game. They lost, or no, I guess they were 1-1. They tied with the Texans in the first game of the season. Then they lost badly to the Jaguars in week 2. And I think that a lot of the Chiefs just kind of thought this game was a pushover game, and the Colts didn't really play a great game. I mean, I remember looking up at the screen and seeing that they only had or I think it was 45 rush yards at one point in the fourth quarter with Jonathan Taylor, and that means he was averaging 3 yards a clip, which if that's what we're seeing from Jonathan Taylor against this defense, I'll sign up for that. I mean, Matt Ryan was fumbling the ball all over the place. They couldn't run the ball effectively. I mean, our defense did a really good job of getting off the field, but the problem is our offense and special teams gave the Colts the ball back and gave them really good positions of advantage, and ultimately that's why we lost the game. If Sky Moore doesn't miss that kickoff, they don't end up giving up one of those touchdowns, and if we could get off the field and our offense could have sustained a little bit better drives, then I mean, this game wouldn't have been close. But again, it's the same old stuff. It's just you see a Chiefs team play well in the first half, and then they just fall apart in the second half. The Chiefs completely fell apart in the second half, and it just seemed like they melted. It was really ugly to watch. It was bad.
Yeah, and I think play calling was another issue. I also think the offensive line didn't play very well today, especially our guy Orlando Brown, who all Chiefs fans have under a microscope this year because he wanted to be the highest paid left tackle in the league and rejected that deal that we offered him. He'd be lucky to get offered that deal again after what we saw today.
Josh, I've been on this from the very beginning. He's not worth it. He's not good. On one of the pass plays, I know we're gonna pick it apart, and it's kind of unfair for tackles because they're always solid until they're not, and then you notice it. On one of the plays, he just completely fell down as he was dropping back. No one touched him. He just fell on his ass, and he was getting beat constantly in this game. And the same thing could be said for Andrew Wiley, but we aren't putting Andrew Wiley at a $25 million per year contract. That's what Orlando Brown Jr. wants. And right now, Orlando Brown Jr. would be lucky to get re-signed by the Chiefs. It's bad.
Yeah, and last year Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. Last year he started out slow, and he came on strong at the end of the year. So I'm not panicking about Orlando Brown, but you can't have games like you had today if you're him and expect to get Trent Williams money in the offseason, because Trent Williams doesn't really have games like Orlando Brown had today. And Mahomes was definitely running around quite a bit, more than you would like. And for as much as we praise Brett Veach for fixing that offensive line, we still seem to have a big problem at both tackle spots, at least right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with Lucas Niang being a pretty major bust as of right now. And the left tackle, they went in on Orlando Brown Jr., and I think last year he wasn't really that good. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I think that he's an average left tackle, and you're not paying an average left tackle top 5 tackle money. It's just not worth it. I would rather the Chiefs dump Orlando Brown Jr. in the offseason, draft his replacement, and just go from there. Give me a first-round left tackle, somebody we have for 4 years, maybe 5 with a 5th-year option, and just let it roll. Because Orlando Brown Jr., for what he wants, it's just not worth it. And, Mahomes didn't play well in this game. I'd be curious to know how much of that is related to the offensive line. But I almost just wonder if he didn't really understand what the Colts were throwing at him. I think that coming into this game, He's dominated Gus Bradley's defenses. He was the old defensive coordinator for the Raiders. And I think that he was expecting a lot of cover 3. And I don't think he ended up getting that. And it's just, it was a struggle today. It was an ugly game. And, the Chiefs have won a lot of really ugly games in the past, and some games that, they probably shouldn't have won. You can't do that always. There's going to be a game that you lose that, quite frankly, you deserve to lose. And the Chiefs deserve to lose this game because you can't play bad football for 3.5 quarters and expect to win every time. And it's frustrating.
Exactly.
This was a game the Chiefs should have won. No doubt about it. They should have won this game, but you almost just got to forget about it immediately and move on, because if you dwell on this for too long, your schedule is too difficult to be thinking about this loss 2 weeks from now. It's too hard.
Yeah, I said this last year too, because I don't I don't want to be super negative, but every year since the Chiefs have won their Super Bowl, they have declined. And people, when I say that, they're like, what do you mean the Chiefs are declining? As if I'm saying they're a bad team. Well, no, like by definition, they're declining, because after they won the Super Bowl, they lost the Super Bowl, then they didn't make the Super Bowl, and they lost in the AFC Championship game last season. So like they're regressing, okay? And when I say that, again, people are going to they're going to freak out, because it's a very strong term to use, but it does apply. And so the Chiefs, I told you last year when they were on their rough patch at the beginning of the season, hey, this team for the longest time, they played unsustainable football because they were always doing these big comebacks and they were always playing like crap for 3 quarters, but they would still win because they were so ahead of their time and Mahomes was on fire, and they would still find ways to win every single time, because that's just what the Chiefs did. They were known for putting together these great comebacks and winning no matter what, because they had Patrick Mahomes. And I said to you last year, look, those days are over. Like, you can't play like crap for 3 quarters and still expect to win, because other teams have caught up to you. They've kind of, they haven't figured out Mahomes. But look, Mahomes isn't as new to the scene as he was a few years ago. Teams have started to find ways to slow him down, and you have to find ways to win outside of Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes playing hero ball. And look, today, one of the things they needed to improve on, and in order for that to happen, was the defense. The defense played great today, okay? I don't want to take that away from them, because if the Chiefs did win this game today, a lot of the credit would go to the defense for holding the Colts to only, 20 points, really? And the Chiefs, the defense, it was unfair to them because they got pinned in at the 1-yard line to start off the game. So, yeah, but anyway, look, the Chiefs can't afford to keep playing like crap against anybody, any given Sunday, And it's frustrating because they really should have won this game, but they came out flat. Andy Reid said it after the game. He doesn't think he prepared the team well. And I think if you read between the lines, they were overlooking the Colts. I know they talked to Juju earlier this week during practice, and he said, no, we don't overlook anybody. I don't overlook anybody. I don't even know who we play every week. I just put my head down, go out there and play. Well, maybe that's what they say to the media, but that's not what it looked like today. It looked like they overlooked the Colts, because the Colts got beat 24-0 by the Jaguars last week. How did the Chiefs not win this game?
Doesn't make sense to me. And the biggest stat that I want to pull up, and I'm going to read through all these stats, the player stats included, but the most crucial stat in my mind was the fact that they were 3 for 10 on 3rd down. You cannot be like that and expect to win a game against any team. Going 30% on 3rd down conversions, that's not good enough. That's not going to win you ball games. And it was just really frustrating to watch. And going back to the offense and how they performed, Patrick Mahomes had a really bad game from a completion percentage standpoint. He was 20 of 35 for 262. He had 1 touchdown that was to Travis Kelce, and he threw that 1 pick at the end, which was basically just a prayer and ended up getting tipped and into the hands of the Colts defender with a rating of 78.5. Juju Smith-Schuster had 5 receptions for 89 yards. Travis Kelce had 4 receptions for 58, including that 1 touchdown catch. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 4 receptions for 48 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 5 catches for 39. Noah Gray had that 1 big catch for 26. And going over to the rushing side of things, Patrick Mahomes actually was the leading rusher today with 4 carries for 26 yards. McKinnon had 7 carries for 20 yards. Pacheco had 3 carries for 9. And Clyde ended up having 7 carries for no yards. Are you kidding me? That can't be real.
Is that Google Stats?
It's ESPN.
Google Stats says the same thing. 7 carries for 0 yards.
So you're telling me that our RB1 had 7 carries and couldn't muster a single yard?
Apparently so.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought that was a gaffe on ESPN's side. I mean, maybe it is. I can't believe that. Like, that's really bad. And I understand that, the Chiefs have a lot of different guys, but the Chiefs did not run the ball effectively today. And kind of goes back to the play calling. There was a couple times where it was second and long, and the Chiefs decided, hey, this is a great time to run the ball. And I remember they did that like deep in the side or on their own side of the field. They ended up having to punt on like the next play. So that's the kind of stuff that you just can't have. And you can't have your RB1 being that detrimental in the running game. He wasn't bad in the passing game, but what is his title, Josh? What is the name of his position?
Running back.
Did he run well today?
Not particularly.
No, he did not. And that's frustrating. Now to the Colts side of things. Matt Ryan, I guess, was better. 27 of 37 for 222 with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a rating of 105.9. Jonathan Taylor had 21 carries for 71 yards, averaging 3.4 yards per carry. Again, Chiefs defense was phenomenal in this game, especially against a top 3 running
Nick
back.
Bolton. Nick Bolton. He had a great game. Wasted performance from him.
That Nick Bolton stop on 4th down. It was Nick Bolton, Carlos Dunlap, who had a sack also in the game. I thought Jalen Watson was really special too. This entire defense rallied around the ball.
Too, who filled in for Willie Gay today, he was solid, stopping the run.
He was very good in stopping the run. I will say in coverage, he was god-awful. But stopping the run, running downfield, he was a really good replacement. He made some big-time hits. But like you said, I mean, this defensive performance was wasted because your offense couldn't put up more than 17 points. And that's a damn shame because that's not what this team deserves. It's not. But I mean, when you play poorly against a team that has no business being in the same game as you deserve to lose. It just comes down to that.
What do we make of the Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes argument on the sidelines as they head into the to the break at half? Because that's something that we've seen before. There's been, controversy and rumors in the past that Mahomes and Bieniemy don't quite get along. And we saw how many times the Chiefs offense last year, the first scripted 15 plays would look great. And then it would seem Andy would hand the play calling off to Eric Bieniemy and the offense would go quiet. Do we need to address the Bieniemy problem again? Do we think that's an issue?
Let's talk about it. I mean, we got to find something to talk about this game. When I initially saw it, I was like, all right, this is just a football thing. I mean, we've seen guys kind of get into it with Bieniemy in the past. Like I remember Travis Kelce really got into it with Bieniemy. I think it was Tyreek Hill who shoved Bieniemy like last year.
No,
like,
that was Kelce. That was Kelce who shoved.
It was Kelce. Well, I remember a lot of guys have had problems with Bieniemy, but they always kind of just shake it off and just say, all right, he's a good coach, and we're competitive guys, and that's just what it comes down to. But I don't know, man. I think it was a culmination of frustration and just everything started to boil over. And I think, it kind of showed the lack of preparedness. And just, I don't exactly know who's in the wrong there, whether it's Pat or Bieniemy, but I mean, yeah, maybe they don't like each other. I mean, because they had to be separated by Andy Reid, and I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to see what you thought about it because we've seen that a lot and there was something about it after the AFC Championship game that happened at halftime. And I don't know. This whole Eric Bieniemy thing is so weird because it seemed to have not been working out last year, and then Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy had that meeting about his future, and then he got brought back, but they also brought Matt Nagy back. And I remember when they brought Matt Nagy back as quarterbacks coach, I think it was who was it? It was one of the reporters that's really in the know around the league. Anyway, she was saying about how Matt Nagy, when the Chiefs brought him back, they had bigger plans for him than just being the quarterback coach, that he was going to be involved in the offense again. And so if you've read the tea leaves from the Eric Bieniemy situation, I think this was a situation where Eric Bieniemy had nowhere to go and the Chiefs didn't want to, fire him or move on. So they just kind of brought him back for another year. And we know how loyal Andy Reid is to his assistants.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think Eric Bieniemy is the reason why you lost this game. I don't think
No, but just I wanted to ask you about that though, since
Yeah.
you did see them kind of have a shouting match on the sidelines. But no, I don't think Eric Bieniemy is the reason they lost, and I think the players executed poorly. I think that had a lot to do with it, and special teams as well. Let's talk about the Chris Jones penalty again, though, because
Yeah.
I'm reading on Twitter right now, and Chris Jones is claiming he hardly said anything, that he was just having a conversation when the flag was pulled. He had no idea. He was shocked. So I don't even know what it is that he said, but apparently he's claiming that what he said wasn't bad at all. And it was a horrible penalty. Not only because it was it was a soft penalty. I mean, I don't know why you'd pull a flag for that, because it happens all the time after every single play. But also, I see people now saying, well, because, okay, I've been on a tear on Twitter lately calling out people who wanted to trade Chris Jones last offseason. And I had someone today tag me, and they're like, oh, are you going to get off me about Chris Jones after that penalty? And it's like, again, if you made a list of all the reasons that the Chiefs lost it, Chris Jones ain't even in the top 5, man. Like, yeah, the penalty was stupid, but Chris Jones is not the reason you lost this game. And Chris Jones played pretty well, actually. He was applying pressure today. So it sucks because people are going to focus on Chris Jones and why this game was lost when he just had a bad flag at a bad time. But when you look at the game in its entirety, Chris Jones is far down the list of problems.
I think coaching is at the very top next to special teams, because Dave Tobe clearly had a bad grasp of the situation. And I don't think that Andy Reid had his guys ready to go. And I think when you pair that together, it makes for a sloppy game plan. I mean, this was a sloppy game, a game in which the Chiefs looked bad on offense, on special teams, and their defense was the only bright spot in this game. And, we often talk about how the Chiefs need to be better on all 3 phases of the ball: offense, defense, and special teams. And when you only have a third of that show up in a game, you can't expect to win. And everybody's going to say, oh, Chris Jones is the reason why you lost this game. I'm not going to blame Chris Jones. I know that's a hot take, and specifically right now on Chiefs Twitter, because they want his head right now. But again, Chris Jones, if Chris Jones wasn't in this game, you lose. I mean, I guess you lost anyway, but you lose by more. He had a really good game up until that point. Like, we seem to forget. And again, the call wasn't good. I don't know what he said, but isn't an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty have to be like up in your face, and like you have to be like right next to him just screaming?
It's got to be pretty obvious. Yeah.
He must have said something terrible then, or it was the weakest call ever. I don't know. We're not blaming the refs. Refs is not a reason at any point on the list why you lost this game. It's just right now it's easy for Chiefs fans to point the finger at Chris Jones or point the finger at Matt Amendola. And Matt Amendola is more of a reason to blame why you lost this game than Chris Jones is. But realistically, what killed Matt Amendola's confidence? Who put him in that position? The coaching. Dave Tobe and Andy Reid. Andy Reid's play calling, I'm going to go back to it again, on that 4th down where you could have kicked the field goal, went up by 7. That was the game-changing play. When you did not convert that, when you wanted to get cute and roll out with your punter and have him play Patrick Mahomes and have him be the quarterback, That's truly when you lost this game. That's when it happened. I know the Colts went down the field and scored on that Chris Jones play and only gave the Chiefs 40-something seconds to go. But the game changed when Andy Reid made that play call. And I will go back to that and say that's why you lost the game.
Yeah. Also, I want to address this comment that I just saw pop up in your comments from Tim Bowen. He says, "If only you knew what you were talking about. The Chiefs have a bad game. You write them off for the season. I'm sorry. Did either of us write them off for the season?
Not doing it at all. Not at
No.
all.
I know
I
they had a
also-
bad game. We're
Yeah.
just complaining about the game because it's a bad game, and it's a game that the Chiefs in year 4 or whatever in year 4 of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and all this stuff, and they shouldn't have lost today's game. And the Colts are a very beatable team. The Chiefs came out unprepared, and that's why we're upset. I'm not writing them off for the season. They had games like this last year, and they ended up making the AFC Championship game. Look, the Chiefs had one of the worst defenses in NFL history through the first 5 weeks of last season. If they can come back from that, they can come back from whatever the hell this performance was today. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not writing them off for the season. This game sucks. I'm not even really that mad about it, especially because I'm conditioned by Mizzou football. Michael, I don't know if you saw how Mizzou lost
Rock
yesterday.
chalk, baby. First of all, we're the best football team in the Midwest right now. But no, that Mizzou game was I don't know how you weren't on suicide watch. That was bad.
I was, actually. I already am. I'm isolated in a room by myself, and I said, just give me my computer and let me watch football, and I'll be fine. But no, yeah, that game was bad. But I'm conditioned from Mizzou football, so I'm not even upset about today's game. As a Mizzou fan, God has given me his toughest battles and wondering why I'm still alive. So, I'm not that mad about this game. But
I can't relate.
You could relate for the past decade.
I can.
Before this
can.
year.
I
But
can.
yeah, no, I'm not writing them off for the season. This game sucked. They played like crap. They got to go back to the drawing board. The offense has got to figure things out. Dave Tobe has got to figure things out. And Harrison Butker, whenever he's back, he should at least solve half the special teams problems from today. So it's not like there's no avenue to the Chiefs getting better and the season is over. Look, they still lead the division. All right. It could be worse. They could be the Raiders. The Raiders were hyped all offseason and made all these big investments in Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones. They're 0-3. Okay. The Chiefs are going to be fine. Today sucked. They're going to be fine.
And listen, for as much as Matt Amendola and Chris Jones might have underperformed or let the team down at times this week, last week when you really needed to win, Matt Amendola came up clutch. Chris Jones had 2 sacks and 4 or 5 QB hits. Those 2 guys, the very same guys that Chiefs fans are hating on right now, are why you beat the Los Angeles Chargers in a big-time divisional game. So if we're looking back at it in hindsight, I'm glad that we won last week, and I know it's tough to lose this game, but I would much rather see the Chiefs lose to the Colts than the Chargers, and specifically because of the division implications that were on the line. So I know Chiefs fans are frustrated, but get over it. We're fine. It's going to be a tough stretch. This is going to be a battle, but there's going to be a lot more important games in the future, and this is going to serve as a wake-up call because the Chiefs know, not even deep down, the Chiefs know they should have won this game at a surface level, and they're going to get better. They're going to continue improving, and if this defense continues to get better, based on what we saw today, we know the Chiefs' offense is going to be fine. They'll figure it out. If this is the defense that we see moving forward, I got all the confidence in the world. And like you said, when Harrison Butker comes back, that solves a lot of the special teams issues. And Dave Tobe, if you're listening to this, you're not. But Dave Tobe, if you are listening to this, maybe don't put Sky Moore as the returner. Just personally, I wouldn't do that right now. I think that if you're going to put Sky Moore out there, you got to at least put him out there as a wide receiver as well to build up some confidence.
I would give him more snaps on offense.
Exactly. If you're going to have him be a return specialist, and if you mess up, you've got to be able to get out there and make some catches to kind of get that rhythm back, because I would argue that being a punt returner or a kick returner is the same mental psychological issue as a kicker, because a kicker, if he misses a couple kicks, he gets in his head. If you're a punter or if you're a punt returner or a kick returner, when you're waiting back there to field the punt, you got like 6 guys just running, trying to take your head off. And if you're not fully locked in and focused on catching the ball first, it's going to get to you and you're going to drop the ball. And it's really hard for rookies. So again, I don't get it. I don't get why Dave Toub continued to go back to a guy, especially when his confidence was struggling.
Yeah. They'll be fine. Special teams, we just kind of covered it. Offense as well. To dive into that a little bit more, though, like I feel like the receivers didn't do a great job getting open today. I don't think that'll be the case all the time. And Mahomes has got to get used to this new receiving core. And I think we saw him revert back to his security blanket, Kelsey, a lot today, which he's done a lot in the past, but he also had Tyreek Hill. And now they don't have Tyreek Hill. And so when things aren't going well, I'm sure that Mahomes looks Kelsey's way a lot more than he would any other player. But Mahomes and this offense, a lot of new faces, okay? They're going to take time to gel together. And we saw how they dominated the Cardinals in week 1. So it's not like they can't do it. And I know the Cardinals aren't a great team, but I don't think they're okay. They beat the Raiders. All right. The Raiders might be horrible, but we know that the Cardinals, I guess what, okay. Look, the Cardinals are horrible. Okay. What I'm trying to say though, is we've seen the Chiefs do this before. Like we've seen the offense do it in week 1. They're capable. We also saw them tough out a win against the Chargers, and the offense got some big plays when they needed to. One of them being from Justin Watson, and the Chiefs just didn't get those big plays today. And that's going to happen. And this offense is still getting used to each other. And 5 or 6 weeks from now, if they're still this slow and not moving the ball very well, then yeah, we'll talk about it. And I'll be a little more concerned because look, as I said in the beginning of the video, I did expect the offense to be a little less dynamic without Tyreek Hill. Like it's just to be expected when you trade away one of the best offensive weapons in NFL history. But we've talked about how they have great depth at receiver now, and you'd almost rather have that than Tyreek Hill. Well, that's what we want to believe. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe we'll see it, but I still believe in these receivers that the Chiefs have. I still believe in their depth. But it's early in the season. Like I'm not panicking.
I do too. I believe in our receivers. And to kind of wrap this whole video up, the Chiefs always struggle against the Indianapolis Colts. They always beat us. I remember a couple years ago at Arrowhead, the year the Chiefs actually won the Super Bowl, they beat us on Sunday Night Football in that game where Justin Reed came back, and they beat us with Jacoby Brissett. And everyone was like, whoa, like this should not have happened. They were fine. They recovered. Last year, they lost some really bad games. They were all right. They got back to the AFC Championship game. And so it's just like, don't get in a massive hole like the Raiders. If you're going to be able to get by these first 8 games of the season, and they're going to be fine. Like they're going to fix this by next week. And I'm not worried, guys. It's fine. But it does suck to lose a game like that because the Chiefs had that one. But Josh, do you have any closing thoughts before we end this Chiefs post-game live stream?
Not really. I mean, look, the game sucks and they'll move on from it. I think they'll be fine. They play the Bucs next week. The Bucs don't look good at all either. That should be a game that they can come back and bounce back. It'll be a good opportunity to bounce back. And Chris Jones gets to go up against his best friend, Tom Brady.
Don't talk to him though, Chris. Apparently just don't say a word, but that's also another Mahomes-Brady game. So I'm going to definitely be on the lookout for that and be really excited to watch that. But Josh, I appreciate you joining me for this Chiefs post-game live stream. Before we get out of here, where can the people find you?
You can find me here on YouTube as well at Josh Fan, just my name. Check out my work on showmefootball.com as well as arrowheadaddict.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at showmefb or my personal at joshfan43.
And all that stuff is actually linked in the description of this live stream, so go check it out. As for me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is KC_sports report, and Twitter is at KC Sports Report. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. I would assume most of you are. Go check out the website. That is kcsportsreport.com. The Chiefs fell in Indianapolis to the Colts by a final score of 20-17. but I think that both of us are confident that the Kansas City Chiefs will bounce back. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching this Chiefs post-game live stream. And as always, go Chiefs.